Hey everyone, in this video I will go through the approaches that you can use to solve cross-text connection questions on the SAT. And I hope that these are going to help you improve your reading and writing score. I'll go through the main steps that you can use to approach this, as well as an example broken down. So, what are cross-text connection questions exactly? They're basically questions that ask you to link information from two different texts that they give you. They're important because they try to test your skill of how you're able to combine and connect the different pieces of information that you can get from different sources. And this is in order to test if you can see the bigger picture of the points that are being made. There are three main things that you need to do. The first is spotting similarities and differences. So just compare and contrast the points being made in the two texts and the things that are being spoken about. The second thing is to combine ideas and bring together the key points that are being made in both of the texts. And then the third is just thinking critically about understanding how they relate to each other, and this is again where the bigger picture is really important. So, how do we think about these kind of questions? Think about it that each text helps you better understand the other by showing different viewpoints. This is where point of view is really important because these questions often ask about the opinions or perspectives of the authors or specific people that are mentioned in the text, and the goal is to see, do these views agree, disagree, or add to each other. So again, you're trying to spot the similarities and differences in opinion. So, there are a few basic steps that you can use to approach these kind of questions. The first is always, again, reading and simplifying each text into one or two main ideas in your own kind of thoughts or words, and this focuses on the point of view. The second step is to compare the viewpoints from both of the texts, and this is where you kind of reach the conclusion if both of the texts are they agreeing, disagreeing, or expanding on each other. And this you can do by really paying attention also to the words that are used. Are they positive, negative, neutral? Is it about a certain topic or about the other text? And this often helps you to identify what the author's attitude and relationship between the texts are. And this is also a really important point, that when you look through the answer choices, try not to look at the choices that stretch beyond what is clearly stated, because it's quite easy to sometimes assume, okay, what the author might think based on what they've said in the text, or to expand upon an idea that they've already talked about. But wrong answers often make claims that are extreme, or address scenarios that are not directly mentioned in the text. So they may seem correct, but because they're not directly mentioned, we can't know that for sure, and therefore they are the wrong answer to these types of questions. And that's why you are supposed to match your understanding of the two texts to the answer choices, and not your understanding of what could be based on this. So you're not supposed to make an assumption or deduction from these texts. You're really supposed to look at, okay, what is directly being stated, and look for an answer choice that matches that. So again, don't go for options that exaggerate something or mention a new opinion that, even though it makes sense, it's not one that is clearly stated in either of the two texts. So let's start with an example. So here we have text 1. Urban planners have long debated the impact of green spaces on city life. Some argue that parks and gardens are essential for reducing stress among city dwellers, fostering community interactions, and improving overall mental health. This theory suggests that the presence of green spaces in urban areas is directly linked to a higher levels of well-being among residents. And then here we have text 2. In 2015, a research team led by sociologist Dr. Maria Ortiz conducted a study in several large cities across Europe. The team surveyed residents living near large parks as well as those in areas with minimal greenery. Contrary to popular belief, the study found no significant difference in reported stress levels or community engagement between the two groups. Residents' mental health and social interactions appeared to be influenced more by factors such as income and access to healthcare than by proximity to green spaces. So, based on the text, how would Dr. Ortiz and her research team, text 2, most likely respond to the theory presented in text 1? Now, this is quite a common question pattern. They often ask about somebody mentioned in one of the texts or the author and relating that to the other text. So it's always connecting the two, and that's why they're called cross-text connection questions, of course. So let's look at the answer choices. A says that the theory is generally accurate, but the study's findings suggest that green spaces have a lesser impact than previously thought. B is the theory is entirely unsupported by the research team's findings and should be reconsidered. The theory might seem reasonable, but it is not validated by the research team's results. And lastly, the theory is valid only under specific conditions, which the research did not explore. So pause the video and try and think about which one would be the most correct answer. Well, there is only one correct answer, but yeah, think about which one would answer this one. So now for a breakdown of the solution, we first make a summary of both the texts. So for text 1, we have the passage which presents the view that green spaces in cities are important for reducing stress and improving mental health among residents. Now, the simplified version of this is that parks and gardens help people feel better and connect with others. Similarly, for text 2, this passage presents findings from a study that looked at the impact of green spaces in cities. The researchers found that green spaces didn't significantly affect stress levels or social interactions. Now, the simplified version of this is that green spaces don't make a big difference in people's well-being. So now if we use the steps and try and look at the connection between these texts, we can see that text 1 and text 2 are contradicting each other, and so the relationship we see is that they disagree. Evaluating the answer choices, we see that choice A suggests that the theory is generally accurate but less impactful than expected. This is not supported by the strong disagreement between the findings in text 2 and the theory in text 1, and so we eliminate this choice. In choice B suggests that the theory from text 1 is completely unsupported, but it also implies that the researchers entirely reject the theory. Now, while the research does not support the theory, the text doesn't indicate a complete dismissal, so we can also eliminate choice B. For C, the choice captures the idea that while the theory might seem plausible at first, the research does not back it up. This directly aligns with the relationship we identified, making choice C the correct answer. Just to double check with choice D, choice D suggests that the theory is valid in certain conditions not covered by the study. But text 2 indicates that the theory doesn't hold up at all in the context studies, so we can also eliminate this option. And as we went through it, we saw that choice C was the correct answer. Now, a few important points about these kind of questions. Don't over-infer or swap the points of views that are being made. So make sure you're really clear what text 1 is saying and what text 2 is saying. So don't confuse the two. That's one thing. But the second thing is don't over-infer. So don't try and take things out from the author's words or anything that they haven't directly said or to you specifically. So yeah, this relates to the next point, which is stick to the text and avoid choices that exaggerate. So if something isn't mentioned in the text, it's probably not the correct answer. And yeah, remember that the correct answer is always going to be directly supported by the text, and you do not have to over-infer or assume anything to select it. So on to a few time management strategies. Skim the text to get a general idea of the points of view rather than just reading them both from beginning to end. Sometimes going through them to see what the general standpoint is can be really helpful. Also, practice summarizing quickly and making efficient decisions so you don't spend a lot of time trying to get to what the point of the author is or to make bullet points. So these two strategies will help you handle these questions within the time limit. So thank you for watching my video. Please like, share, and subscribe to help support, and I'll see you in the next one.